Before we get into today's video, I have to say a huge thank you, a huge we love you to all American service members, past, present, and future. Happy Veterans Day. I truly believe that Veterans Day should get, veterans should get a whole month. I mean, if you have Gay Pride Month, we should definitely have longer than just one day, because without you, we would not have a nation. So I salute you. I love you. I pray for you. Let me know in the comments if you happen to be a veteran, know somebody in your family who's a veteran, share that in the comments. And if you see somebody who is sharing that, everybody else who's watching, shower them with love, because I say this unequivocally: without you, we do not have a country. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and God bless you. Live breaking news, my fellow Americans, Nez Nation. The Democratic Party is literally on life support. And I'm going to share with you one of the most eloquent, poignant, truthful, blistering takedowns I think we've seen thus far since their resounding defeat on November 5th. I'm actually really surprised that CNN actually allowed this on the air. But who knows? The back channel politics that's happening in the Democrat Party, everybody playing the blame game, Pelosi pointing here, Biden pointing here, Obama pointing here, AOC pointing here. They are an absolute train wreck. Check out who I actually respect in a very high manner, Fareed Zakaria. I don't know if you guys remember this, longtime viewers and listeners probably will, but we shared a glorious clip about 6-7 months ago, right around the time of the State of the Union address, where Biden displayed, just unrelenting proof and evidence that he was under some kind of psychotropic or pharmacological influence. And Zakaria quite intelligently articulated that if this guy continues, we're in a lot of trouble, meaning the Democratic Party. Let's watch this video right here. I promise you won't be disappointed. This is absolutely huge. Check this out.
It would seem easy to explain last Tuesday's election as part of a 2024 global wave against incumbents beset by post-COVID turmoil and inflation. The UK saw a huge Tory parliamentary majority turn into its thinnest minority in the party's nearly 200-year history. Germany's governing coalition has collapsed amid soaring unpopularity. Emmanuel Macron's party was crushed in France's parliamentary elections. South Korea's opposition party dominated in a huge parliamentary landslide. And even in Japan, where the ruling LDP party has governed almost uninterrupted since 1955, the party lost its House of Representatives majority. So it might have been preordained that Kamala Harris, representing the incumbent administration, lost decisively as well.
This campaign.
But Harris could have bucked the trend. The American economy is doing better than all these other nations. Employment is strong, wages are up, inflation is down, productivity is soaring. More importantly, Donald Trump has many strengths as a political figure, but he also has many weaknesses.
Yeah, but everyday Americans, Fareed, cannot feel what you're talking about. This is another thing. I'm a little bit surprised by Fareed here, saying that, she could have bucked the trend and focused on the strengths of the economy. You can call it what you want to. You can give me charts, trends, analytics, and you can compare, over the last 4 years, which, of course, based on when Biden took over and Harris took over, yeah, there might be some kind of incremental positive changes, but overall Americans are feeling it at the gas pump. They're feeling it when they get their rent, their mortgage bills. They're feeling it when they get their energy bills, their utilities. They're feeling it when they try to go get groceries. So this is really a moot point, I think, but let's continue here.
Let's recall that after January 6, 2021, Trump's approval rating was down to 34% in a CNN poll. In a Marquette Law School poll matchup a year later, Joe Biden was beating him by 10 points nationally, 43-33. Then came the overturning of Roe v. Wade and the 2022 midterms, in which the Republicans did very badly for a midterm and MAGA candidates in particular got crushed. Trump's favorability ratings sank to 31% in a CNN poll, with an unfavorable rating at a staggering 60%. Even Republicans were disillusioned with him. At this point, Trump had led a Republican Party that lost its House majority in 2018, its Senate majority and the presidency in the 2020 cycle, and then fared historically badly in those 2022 midterms. In December 2022, Ron DeSantis was outpolling Trump easily among Republicans in a Wall Street Journal poll. That was the Democratic Party's strongest moment since Trump's arrival on the political landscape. But they blew it. The New York Times estimates that Harris will lose the national popular vote by about 1.5 points.
You're damn right.
A first for Democrats since 2004. Global inflation is something that was hard to shut down, but there were other issues the Democrats flubbed, which inflamed the opposition and depressed their base. I'm going to talk about them here because it's the right time to do a postmortem. But to avoid appearing to have 20/20 hindsight, I should say that I have noted each of these mistakes at the time, often provoking angry responses from the left. The first big error was the Biden administration's blindness to the collapse of the immigration system and the chaos at the border. An asylum system that was meant for a small number of persecuted individuals was being used by millions to gain legal entry. Instead of shutting it down, liberals branded anyone protesting as heartless and racist. They missed a massive shift in American public opinion in just a few years. In 2020, the percentage of Americans who wanted to decrease immigration was just 28%. By this year, it was 55%. When Kamala Harris went on The View and was asked how she would have differed from Biden, instead of basically saying nothing different, she should have said, "I would have shut down the border early and hard." The second error was an overzealous misuse of law to punish Trump.
But if she would have said that, Fareed, guess what? All of those asylum seekers, all of those illegal criminal migrants would have perhaps voted against her if they voted for her at all. So she had to say that. It's the same reason why she was completely flip-flopping and nebulous when it came to Israel, because her whole entire base are the same people in those Columbia protests, UCLA, USC, all over these campuses across the United States. That's her voter base, pro-Hamas, terrorist-supporting anti-Americans. Essentially, that's it.
The most egregious of the cases pursued was Alvin Bragg's one in New York, one that even he was once skeptical of, but was reportedly pressured by some on the left into pursuing. Some cases, like the Georgia one, were legitimate, but the host of them piled on in rapid succession gave the impression that the legal system was being weaponized to get Trump. It confirmed to his base what it had always believed, that overeducated urban liberals were hypocrites, happy to bend rules and norms when it suited their purposes. It's worth noting that in this week's election, a CNN exit poll found that among those who believe that democracy in the U.S. is threatened, a majority supported Trump. Lawfare turned Trump from being a loser into a victim. And as his indictments grew, his campaign contributions surged and his poll numbers solidified.
Fareed, I need to inject here, though. Hello. It was indeed confirmed. This wasn't conspiracy. This wasn't conjecture. This was not speculation. It was confirmed. You ask any legal expert. One that comes to mind right away is lifelong Democrat, Harvard law professor, one of the best attorneys the nation's seen this century, if not longer, Alan Dershowitz, who said, I quote, "In 60 years of practicing law, I've never seen a case brought to the courts by the DOJ that was so weak, feeble, unfounded, and meritless," end quote. So all of those things were confirmed. They knew, Fareed, they could not beat him legitimately. They knew they couldn't beat him at the polls. So they tried everything they could do. And you and your corrupt propagandist machine, legacy fake woke mafia media were the arbiters of all of these allegations were the arbiters of misinformation. You guys were the propagators of every barrier and barricade you could to actually allowing our electorate democratic process to unfold the way it should. And I guarantee you, Fareed, if we were as prepared in 2024, if we were as prepared in 2020 as we were in 2024, there is no way in a billion, trillion, quintillion years you could convince me that Joe Biden got 15 to 20 million votes more than the Black Messiah, quote unquote, Barack Obama. There's no way in a million years. The analytics and the data and just sheer common sense and intuition do not support that, my good friend.
The final error is a more diffuse one, the dominance of identity politics on the left, which made it push for all kinds of DEI policies that largely came out of the urban academic bubble, but alienated many mainstream voters. There's an irony in claiming to be pro-Latino by insisting that people use the term Latinx, only to discover that Latinos themselves think the word is weird. This kind of obsession made Democrats view people too much through their ethnic or racial or gender identity, and it made them miss, for example, that working-class Latinos were moving toward Trump perhaps because they were socially conservative, or liked his macho rhetoric, or even agreed with his hardline stance on immigration. One of Trump's most effective ads on trans issues had a tagline:
Kamala is for they, them. President Trump is for you.
The problem is much deeper than simply one about nouns and pronouns. The entire focus on identity has morphed into something deeply illiberal, judging people by the color of their skin rather than the content of their character. Similarly, university speech codes and cancel culture have become ways that the left censors or restricts that most cherished of liberal ideas, freedom of speech. One simple way to think about the lessons of this election is that liberals cannot achieve liberal goals, however virtuous, by illiberal means.
So, initial thoughts. I would love to get your comments. Let me know down below. What are your guys' assessment and thoughts of what Fareed said? Was he correct? Is he on point? Are there some things that he missed? I definitely think he touched upon some things that were absolutely true. Especially, I think the number one thing is that appearance on The View. God, I can't stand The View. If you can't stand The View, let me know in the comments right now. Just give me a capital Y that you cannot stand that broadcast. I call them the gaggle of menopausal liars. They are just awful airheads. She appeared on that show and was asked what you would have done differently. I think that was literally the nail in the coffin. And Trump wisely used that as probably one of his top ads and blasted it everywhere. So essentially what Kamala conveyed to the American public was, hey, if you're happy the last 4 years, remember what Reagan's poignant question that Trump actually implemented in his rallies. The very first thing he would say in his rallies, Reagan against Carter, which he won in 1980, Reagan looked at the camera in their final debate just a week before the actual election and said, I only have one simple question to ask you. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? And then Trump took that wisely again. I mean, the strategy was amazing. $1 billion. You spent you gave Beyonce $10 million and you don't even know if she voted for you. You spent over $1 billion and you're 20 million in debt. This is an indictment to celebrity culture. This is an indictment to all the big money donors, the Holly weirdos alike, who think that they can just pass on their influence, pass on their ticket sales, pass on their fame and notoriety without a single iota of substance. The American people are not stupid. The American people are not falling for it. They know how out of touch, and you proved it time and time again, and how you have zero pulse on what's happening in reality. Bill Maher is a perfect example. He supports Kamala Harris, but if somebody tried to climb his wall to his mansion, who do you think's the first people he would call? Would he call Kamala? Would he call Beyonce? No, he would call 911 and the police. Shame on you, Bill Maher, because you actually should know better than that. I've never been a fan of Bill Maher. I think he really represents what Fareed characterized as the smug, educated, elitist. I don't even know if he's educated, but they look down at you through their nose. They think a very low of everyday Americans, and which leads me to I think my main thing as to why the Democrats lost. And I think, by the way, I think this is the best thing that ever happened to this party. I think if they would have won, this would have been a confirmation that propaganda works, which it does. I don't think she would have earned a single vote if it wasn't for propaganda. But lies work, spreading misinformation, propaganda, and celebrity woke notoriety and fame culture out of depth, have zero pulse on the American people, that would have worked. That would have been a comfort. We fought against that. The fact that Trump won, it was a rebuke to all that is, coming to my final point, inauthentic. You guys don't have any authenticity. Americans are sick and tired of your phony smiles, of your phony eyes, your phony, attempts to connect, your condescension and your narcissism that manifests in the form of a guy like Don Lemon, who corrects everyday Americans when they say their wallet literally has flies buzzing out of them because they're empty and there's cobwebs in there, and looking Americans in the eye and saying, actually, you're wrong. The economy is great. You're wrong. And having these abysmally offensive professors I did a video on this, going on these nationally televised networks and saying, no, the reason that Kamala lost is not because of how Americans feel. It's not because of how Americans feel at the gas pump, groceries, their rent, their bills, the economy, the border, safety, a feeling of calm and a feeling of bedlam happening across the globe. You have these professors from Ivy League universities going on national televised networks, instead of actually embracing accountability, pointing the finger at the very thing that we are sick and tired of, which is why we spoke loud and clear, resoundingly on November 5th, calling it racism. And then you got people like Don Lemon agreeing to it. I think this is the best thing that ever happened to the Democrat Party. I hope that you guys will rebuild. I hope you guys will take a hard look. It doesn't sound like it. The sort of fragrance of the loss is still permeating, and you can tell by all the countless meltdowns that you've seen online, and I've shared a few here too. But I think once the dust settles, once you're able to step back and look at this objectively and actually see, okay, the emotions have passed, the feelings of anger, frustration, and all your happy feelings and your miserable feelings or whatever have actually subsided. Once you take a hard look as to why you lost, and you lost in a landslide, you got annihilated. This is the best thing that ever happened to you, because you need to take stock in the things that you believe in, return to the values and principles that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says were of the era of my uncle and my father, the true iconic Democrats, not Obama-ism, not woke-ism, not DEI-ism, and all those wokeology-isms. Maybe then you will get back to a more sensible and practical Democrat Party of yonder years. Because right now, I would say calling you guys the Democrat Party is a misnomer. It's completely incorrect. You are a radical extreme, so far left that I think even Lenin and Karl Marx would go, whoa, take it easy, guys. You have gone way off the deep end, and you've lost everyday Americans. And I thank God, not just for my country, but for my kids, our future, my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandkids, and beyond. My fellow Americans, I truly believe, and you can bookmark this, we are headed towards the golden years of our country. We are returning back to practicality, to sanity. Remember, I'm not right or left. I'm more of a constitutional centrist, if anything. I just want to return to pragmatism, a return to normalcy. Wow, what a strange, bizarre concept. I want to throw this off to you guys, though. I would love to get your comments, your thoughts. Let me know down below. And if you haven't seen these videos yet, make sure you check these videos coming up on the screen right here. Tap my face right there to subscribe. It's free, and follow if you're on watching this somewhere else. And as always, may God bless you, and may God bless America.